Can an interactive AI video clone really be as good as a human being? Because let's face it, we're human beings. We're wired to want to talk to other human beings, see them, look at them in the eye, hear them, ask them a question, stop, start, have a live conversation, preferably in the same room. That is the gold standard of human communication. Really, really important things are done. The most important moments in your life are done face to face. If you ask someone to marry you, if you've been hired for a job and it hasn't been in just the last 10 years, it was a face to face job interview. If you're fired from a job, most of the time, people have the courtesy of doing it face to face. If you are asking someone to invest money in your business, quite often it's face to face, especially right at the beginning with angel investing, asking family and friends. Quite often it's a live conversation. And if not that, it's at least Zoom, where people can see you, have a real conversation that's completely interactive. Can clones be that good? Or could they potentially be even better? Hi, I'm TJ Walker. This is the TJ Walker channel, and we're all about helping you become more successful by communicating more effectively using the latest technology. And one of those technologies, in fact, is digital cloning. We're going to bring up my clone right now. I have a digital clone, TJ Walker AI. You can find out more about that by going to tjwalker.ai. But let's just do a little test here right now and see, in fact, if the clone can be worse than I am, the same as I am, or better than I am. One of the things I'm most excited about is the ability of clones to really speak any language. I, unfortunately, am the typical ugly American. I only speak English. So that means there are about 7 billion people on the planet I can't speak to. So one of the reasons I'm drawn to cloning technology is the potential for it to speak in other languages. So let's just do a test right here. If you see up here on the top right, I've pulled down from a drop-down menu. There's 30-some languages that my clone can allegedly speak. I've chosen Chinese. So we're going to call and see how my clone answers. So a week ago, it was still answering in English.
嗨，我是 TJ 的克隆人，我如何帮助你更有效的沟通？
So I have no idea what it said, but I'm pretty sure that it said, "Hi, I'm TJ's clone. How can I help you communicate more effectively?" And it did it in Mandarin. And I have had a native Mandarin speaker confirm to me that it's actually coming across making complete, absolute sense. Let's bring in my colleague, Barb Tomlin. Barb, how are you today?
I just got in the studio, so I didn't get to hear whatever it
Well,
was.
we're doing a test on the foreign language capabilities, which have made so much improvement in just the last week on the particular platform I'm using, Delphi. I've had a number of people telling me they've tested it in different languages. I unfortunately don't speak a lot of languages beyond a few words, but to my ear, it sounds authentic. And to me, that's what makes the clone not worse than a human, not as good, but actually better. If my clone can take my expertise and share it with people on their terms, in their language, I think that's drastically superior. I know just a couple of words in Korean. Let's try that.
안녕하세요. 저는 TJ의 클론입니다. 어떻게 더 효과적으로 소통할 수 있도록 도와드릴까요?
안녕하세요, TJ. 감사합니다.
안녕하세요. TJ의 클론입니다. 어떤 소통 기술을 향상시키고 싶으신가요? 구체적으로 어떤 부분에서 도움이 필요하신지 말씀해 주시면 더 효과적으로 도와드릴 수 있을 것 같아요.
Okay, so I have no idea what it said, but it did sound like it was definitely Korean, and I'm assuming that it had some coherence. Now, with almost everything involving a new technology, certainly it's been the case with artificial intelligence, is there are 2 steps forward and 1 step back. This is so much better than even a week ago or 2 weeks ago, when if I pushed a hello and I'd already had it on the Korean, it would start speaking in English. Then maybe 10% of the time, if you spoke to it in the other language, it would then speak to you in that language. It's now starting off the conversation in the language the person suggested. Now, I say 2 steps forward, 1 step back, because unless I am completely imagining things, as recently as yesterday, the voice sounded like me, even though it was coming from a different language. Today, it does not sound like me. So I have to assume that 11 Labs or other technology providers are still tinkering with things, doing updates. Now, I don't know that it really matters to people if you're in another country and you speak another language, if you care if it necessarily sounds like me. I mean, I like the idea of it coming across as more genuine and authentic to me. Let's try the Spanish version. I do know a couple of words in Spanish.
Hola, soy el clon de TJ. ¿Cómo puedo ayudarte a comunicarte de manera más efectiva?
Hola, señor TJ. Mi problema es no tengo confidencia. ¿Por qué?
Hola, entiendo que tienes un problema, pero necesito más detalles para poder ayudarte. ¿Podrías especificar cuál es tu problema relacionado con la comunicación? ¿Es algo sobre hablar en público, entrevistas o quizás mejorar tu confianza al hablar? Cuéntame más para que podamos trabajar juntos en una solución.
Okay, that to me sounded a little more like me. And it's not as good as it was yesterday, which troubles me a little bit. But I have to say, the big picture to me, frankly, is, and Barb, I think you can relate to this. I still remember as a kid. Now, I'm not quite old enough to have watched the original Star Trek in prime time, but I did watch it in daily syndication in the early 70s. And I well remember the episode where there was a universal translator that could take what any alien says in any language, and even at some point, I think it was plants or animals, and allow it to communicate with the humans on the Enterprise. That was the 23rd century. So I remember thinking as a kid, wow, if only I'd been born in the 23rd century, wouldn't it be nice to be able to communicate instantly with anyone? Well, I feel this week like I'm now in the 23rd century, that my ideas, my insights, my information can help people all over the globe, specifically now, maybe not all 8 billion people on the planet, but probably, 7.5 billion speak, one of the languages that my clone is being converted into. Not everything, Arabic, Bulgarian, Chinese, Croatian. I mean, you could just see this is a pretty long list of languages, and it's apparently growing every day. So, Barb, just wondering if you have thoughts in general of how this is going to change things, because for so long, everything in technology has been kind of dominated from a U.S. perspective, which means an English perspective, and Silicon Valley has gotten the biggest funding and created the Googles of the world and the Facebooks. Part of it is we have a better funding structure in an entrepreneurial culture. Part of it is when you do create something, you have a large market in the U.S. to roll it out to rather than Bulgaria. A part of it is we have more money for people to get initial investment. Mark Zuckerberg grew up in an affluent household, and his immediate family could give him hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to get things going, but a lot of people in a lot of parts of the world don't have. But a part of it is just this language thing. So I'm personally very excited about the fact that it seems now people can create things, share expertise, and it won't matter what language they're using. they can instantly be accessible to anyone in the world. And Barb, I'm wondering your thoughts.
I'm not a fan of, um, foreign as an American, and I go to click on Netflix, say, the number one thing on Netflix now is in a foreign language.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a fan of reading, reading it in my language on the screen, as I imagine other folks in other languages feel the same way when they're
Subtitles.
watching.
I don't like
The
reading
subtitles.
subtitles, and I get, I have people who are real film snobs look at me like I'm an absolute Philistine and just a trashy person. But I don't like reading subtitles in a movie,
Right.
because to me a movie is about an emotional experience. Reading is an intellectual experience. So when watching the Squid Games, the most popular show ever on YouTube, I went with the English dubbed version, and I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Yeah.
By the way, quick shout out to Janice joining us from Unconventional Advice That Works, and she says the Spanish sounded good to her. I'm assuming Janice is fluent in Spanish, so thanks so much, and let us know if you want to pop in and say hello again. Barb, more of your thoughts.
Well, I think that the time is here to be able to do that. I work with people all around the world that I've had for friends for over 30 years now online. And so it definitely, to have that makes it easier. But I have asked them, okay, now they know that I'm speaking in English, and I have asked them about it, and they have translators that that are translating it. It's more genuine in the text than it is in the voice. To hearing one of them said to me yesterday, than a robotic voice, but you know what I mean, a clone voice. So, because it's not natural.
Can I analyze that a little bit? Because I certainly agree. Nobody likes listening to a robotic voice, but there's such a range of voice quality in clone voices. If it could really be instantaneous and be the person's actual voice, but you're hearing them speak in your language, isn't that better than a text translation?
I believe in the end that they will master it, because technology, we're in control of that. We're going to make it master it, and it'll be a great thing. I think it's very early on. And the most important, we're having internationally issues about folks actually accepting clones. So it's one step at a time,
Mm-hmm.
So if the application that you're working with is already said, hey, we know this, and we're going to deal with it right from the get-go. And just like, from the beginning days that you were playing with the clone AI technology, it's gotten thousands of times better than it was from day one. Mm-hmm. And that's because it's being trained. So, it's just part of where we're going. I think it's good. And I'm curious myself to see, at what level it's going to take off for 2024, 2025.
Speaking of training, let me just show people the insides of exactly what we're talking about, because when you're building a clone of yourself or of anyone, although I'm hoping you're not just doing it, stealing someone else's identity, that is unethical, and it's against the terms of service of every cloning company I know, unless it happens to be like a well-known person in history. If you want to do it from Socrates and there's nothing copyrighted, then you can do it. But I'll just show you, because Barb just mentioned, building your clone. What does that actually mean? I will take you into my clone, and we'll just go to the section of what we're talking about. So this is what I do every single day, is I build my clone. I go here, there's a button that says build. I build. So far, I have 12 million words of my ideas. This is not scraping from the general internet. It's not scraping from ChatGPT. These are my words. I've either written them in the form of books that you see behind me, or said them on online courses, or said them in YouTube videos or podcasts. So these are my words. At this point, it's 15,000 different files. Most of those are videos, obviously. I haven't written 15,000 books. But every single day, new content is going in. So just a few minutes ago, a video that was posted on my YouTube channel is automatically fed. See, that says from feed. It's automatically fed. It's in the queue to go into the brain of my clone. Here's just 36 words. What I make a habit of doing every day is I do some memo dictating thought to my clone. And that's what I do at breakfast. I'm at the Aloft having a nice omelet, and I dictated 36 words, and it was uploaded. But every day I have at least 3 videos. Other things are put in. You can see it has complete. Hey, I'm just joined by my good friend and colleague and co-instructor, Clarion North. Clarion, how are you today?
Oh, hi. Can you hear me? I don't know if
Yes.
Oh, wow. Sorry. I thought I was just joining to. I just wanted to listen, but I'm doing great. How are you?
Fantastic. Always happy to have you stop by. And let's just give a quick shout out to one of the top instructors on Udemy. We're gonna show your page.
Oh no.
It never hurts to get a little extra promotion. And Clarion and I met several years ago when we both had an interest in NFTs, and unfortunately, he knew. For me, I didn't know anything about the technology side, so we collaborated. Have since collaborated on a number of projects. But let's just take a quick look at the renowned technology instructor, Clarion North. And he's got 30 courses on Udemy.
Huh.
Best-selling include the complete Solidity course, Blockchain Zero to Hero, complete dApp, Solidity, and React, official Polygon. Clarion, what is your latest course, and what are you most excited about in the world of technology these days?
Well, wow, those are great questions. Well, the Redux course there, that's I think that's a great course to. I think that's a good course if you want to learn about scaling applications. So I'm proud of that course because Redux is a very complicated. There's a lot of complex layers. Basically, what it does is it's for application development when you're working with these libraries like React or Angular. We focus with React, but I mean, I just like this course in general because it's one of these because I think RTK, if you look and see how the community, the open source community for React and Redux, how it's developed, it could be a little bit of something that when you look at using these huge libraries or these really complex frameworks can be daunting, but if you see how amazing these communities have developed to create just beautiful ways to scale your applications and write clean code that makes sense, can be read, especially with the developments of RTK. Go into it in that course. So that's something that's great. And then
we should point out this course is highly rated. It's a 4.5 rating. It's in the Udemy for Business program, which means it's one of the most respected courses in all of Udemy, only a small subset. So if you are in Udemy for Business, if your corporation pays for you to be in that, you can access this at no charge to yourself. Your company's paying for it.
But to your point, what I'm most excited for, I think, is AI at this point. I think everyone's very excited about AI. I love what you're doing, especially with how you can empower content creators to get ahead of the curve and understanding just how powerful these tools are, in terms of what this can do for a positive effect in communication and building your own brands and entrepreneurship and that avenue. So, me personally, I'm very excited with neural networks, AI, of course, blockchain, of course, the stuff that we've done, and that continues to progress. But yeah, I'm really into LLMs, of course. Obviously.
Are you going to build a
Yeah.
Clarion North clone?
Ha! Well, I don't know. I came to just listen to what your thoughts are. You know, I'm curious how it's going for you.
So it's been a very exciting journey for me, because again, as you know, Clarion, there are a few people in the world who know less about technology than I do. I graduated from college without ever seeing a computer. I'm that old. So
Wow.
now you can, yeah, wow. I take that back. There was one time my senior year, I was walking down a hall and I saw out of the corner of my eye, some guy had, I guess, a computer in his room. But I mean, I never saw one in a classroom. I never took a computer course. I mean, maybe the bursar's office input something when we paid, but other than that, I didn't know anything. So when I'm building my clones, I'm dependent on other platforms. So I'm trying to do something that's a little bit tricky, but I've recently built this course on how to build your own AI clone. And what I do is show people from the perspective of a non-techie how you would do it. So for anyone who wants to build build their own clone, this course will do. I'm very happy to, it's only about a week old. It's already become a bestseller, has thousands of students, has a 4.7 rating. And nice folks like Barb were nice enough to review this. So thank you very much. It's helped a lot. So this is sort of a non-techie's way of doing it. If you can type, which I can do, although I have to look at the keys, if you can click upload and you can speak, you can make not only a digital clone of yourself, but you can make an actual video representation of yourself and an audio representation. So to me, that's what's very exciting about it. But you know what? Let's just test a minute. I don't know what it's going to say. I mean, that's one of the things that's kind of exciting about clones, is you never really know what they're going to do. Let's do a quick test here, and we'll see what it is pulled up in the database.
Hi, I'm TJ's clone. How may I help you communicate more effectively?
TJ, can you tell me anything about Clarion North? I understand he's an expert on a number of technologies, and you've worked with him before.
Wow, you got me. I don't know how to answer that. Please email my team at Purdue.
Okay, so I just wanted to test and see. So partially that's a success in that I've uploaded all of my courses that I only did myself into my clone. There are courses like with you where we've partnered, but I don't want to steal your intellectual property. So I don't want to steal your videos and your expertise, have it sucked into my brain, and then have my digital brain stating things that's your expertise in. It seems like I know it. So in a sense, that was a little bit of a success, but I didn't quite know what it would do. So I wanted to find out. But Clarion, I'm not looking for any compliments here, but you deal with a lot of the highest end technology people around. How did that one look and sound to you just now?
Oh, wow. Well, I think it's, everything's relative. I think it's incredible. Just if you take a step back and you really see how, I mean, it would be, I can't really tell exactly, because in terms of resolution quality, I don't know like what the definitions are, because I'm seeing it through. It looked good. Do you know what the specs are for the resolution?
So I don't know what it's playing back on, and again, I'm not really a techie, so some of that depends on bandwidth that you're on. Are you looking on a cell phone? What's the screen?
Sure.
My file footage let me just take people into this because I think some like that. So when I'm building my video, the file footage here, and I've done 4 different versions of it, was shot on 4K. And so that's really as good as you can do these days, unless I guess you're going to go IMAX or something. But if you're watching a movie, on, this is going to sound weird, by the way, but this is the video quality. If you're watching a movie on Netflix, it's 4K, so it's beyond high definition.
Your digital clone's video avatar is ready. Generate videos in the playground below or engage in real time.
So that's not my voice, and it's not meant to be, and there's staticky sound. That's just how the system lets you know that the video portion has been uploaded, and mine was shot in 4K, which you don't have to have that, but in theory, the better quality you have at every stage of the game can help. But also with video, the weakest link you have is going to affect the quality of what you get as well.
Yeah, I'm not a graphics guy, but I can see like the 4K you can see clearly looks very, very good. And it's just amazing to think like you said, well, like throughput, bandwidth is basically what you think, what it's supposed to, the probability expectation, but essentially like it looks really, really good. And you have to think it's streaming live, right? So it's interpreting with the LLM. You put your prompt engineering into it, your parameters and then like you said, you also give it data. So it has access to the greater LLM, and then it has access to the data you want to define and focus in, which is the videos you're uploading. And the fact that it's able to do that and then respond right now, and you're getting a result and it works and you can see that result and it's exciting. I think that it's more than, you can't say it's negligible,
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty amazing. Like if you go back 2 years, that would not be possible, like ChatGPT or just GPT technology, and these LLMs are it's amazing how fast they're developing now. And there's a few things like the lag, obviously, and there's like some awkwardness in the pausing and whatnot, but it's still, if you get rid of all the nitpicking, just think about the fact that somebody can now communicate with you and you have that data and it's visual, and especially for what you teach, doing communication and presenting, and they can see how your clone presents and talks and listens. And so I think it's phenomenal, and I expect the technology to get better and better very quickly, possibly in the next 2-3 years. So imagine that seamless in 2 years from now, like absolutely seamless. I don't think that's unreasonable to think that. So
it has been improving almost daily as far as just new features that come up, as far as being able to speak in other languages. By the way, Jatin stops by and says, hi, glad you're here. Let us know if you have any questions. It now has the ability to see an image of me. It can't see movement. So if my eyes are darting back and forth, it can't tell me that my eyes are darting back and forth. But here's something it can do, which I find rather fascinating. And I have to switch to another camera here. You'll see in just a moment.
Hi, I'm TJ's clone. How may I help you communicate more effectively?
Hi, TJ. I get a little nervous when I give presentations. So sometimes I don't look directly at the camera or at people, and I fiddle with things. Can you give me any feedback on what you see me touching now? Is that good or bad? And how is my eye contact?
Your eye contact is crucial for engaging your audience. Avoiding direct eye contact or constantly fiddling with objects can make you seem nervous and disengaged. Instead, focus on looking directly at the camera or at individuals in your audience for a few seconds.
Is this better? Is my eye contact better now?
Your eye contact is definitely improving. You're looking more directly at the camera, which
What am
helps
I
create a
holding?
stronger.
What am I holding, TJ?
You're holding a pair of blue-handled scissors. It's
Okay.
important to be mindful of what
Wow.
you're doing.
So
And
cool.
TJ, I wouldn't normally hold scissors, but sometimes I get nervous and I do like to hold something else when I give a speech. Is there any problem What are your thoughts now on what I'm holding now when I'm giving a speech or a presentation?
Holding a pen during your presentation is a good choice. It gives your hands something to do and can help reduce nervous fidgeting. Just make sure your gestures are purposeful and natural. Use the pen to emphasize key points, but avoid excessive movement that could
Oh,
distract your audience.
TJ, I'm very disappointed in you. Because the real TJ Walker has repeatedly said in books, videos, courses, never hold a pen because it prevents you from having natural hand motion. Why did you give me bad advice that the real TJ Walker would never say?
I understand your frustration. You're right. Holding a pen can restrict natural hand movements, which are crucial for engaging presentations. My advice was aimed at helping you manage nervousness, but it's clear that it didn't align with the best practices I've emphasized in my teaching.
So it's not perfect, obviously, because it did, in fact, give advice there that is directly counter to advice I've given repeatedly on YouTube, online courses, and other places. So whether
That's
that
in the videos you uploaded, there's lessons in which you say explicitly that.
I say explicitly,
Okay.
never hold a pen. I don't care if it makes you more comfortable. Your audience doesn't care about you. I want you to care about your audience. The second you're holding a pen, it freezes your hands. It reduces your body language. It makes you seem less comfortable. The only exception I've ever said is, okay, if you're Bob Dole, and many people are not going to remember him. He was a U.S. politician, ran for president in 1996, had war injuries, could not shake people's right hand because his hand had been mangled in the war. He held a pen as something that would just keep his hand sort of in place, and he would shake with his left hand. That's the only exception. So it's giving bad advice, whether that counts as an hallucination or what we want to say. So it's not perfect yet, but I was intrigued because I had no idea 2 weeks ago it could see me, and because if I'm wearing sunglasses now, it'll take your sunglasses off. If I'm wearing a hat, you saw it could tell exactly what I was holding up, which I found
that's
fascinating.
amazing. I wonder if it's taking snapshots once you say, what am I doing? And it understands, it infers that you want some kind of output based on how you look. If it does a snapshot, or if it's streaming the content and then parsing it, it's very interesting to want what's going on behind the scenes with that. And
I've been told it's taking snapshots.
Yeah,
that taking a static image. So it cannot tell me, for example, if I'm doing this,
okay,
I'm darting my eyes. It can't see that because in any one snapshot, there's no eye movement.
Yeah, but all that's going to be optimized. It'll get there, because that's really the kind of thing you can create a database that will take snapshots intermittently, look for the things that matter, and then have a history base that can work. I feel like it's going to get better. That's all I'm saying. And the inference too with the pen, again, it's like an LLM model. So you upload everything, and then it also has its neural network, the way that it thinks it needs to respond. And how it really works with these neural networks is that it has a cost function at the end, and it looks at the cost function to kind of come up with one solution, right? Like the thing that it should do based on everything, the inputs and the parameters. So you want it with your videos with the pen to, like you said, that there is one output, which is that if they're holding the pen, no. And except for the exception with Bob Dole, right? That one exception.
And he's no longer with us, so.
Yes, yeah. But with that, I think that maybe it's not a hallucination necessarily. It's just that it has your information, but it's not, like you said, it's not good enough yet to the point where it knows that that's in there, but it thought for some reason, well, maybe I shouldn't do this because of X, Y, and Z, and so I'm going to just go to a standard generic response instead. But again, that also, I imagine, will be it just improved. That these are things that aren't outside the realm of already knowing how to improve.
If you have questions for me or Clarion or Barb, you can post them, or you can come join us live or ask them directly. Jayton and Janice, others who are watching, feel free to post your questions. Clarion, I have a big question for you. If I came to you and said, I want to hire you to create a whole new company, to create the world's best platform for digital clones that has audio, has video, has text, can do all the things we've talked about, how hard would that be to do? What would it cost to create something from scratch?
I mean, that's very relevant.
Using other platforms, obviously. The one I'm using,
Yeah.
they use 11 Labs for audio and another one for video. They're using OpenAI for the text portion. But if you were going to create something to create a platform, how would you do it, and how hard would that be?
I mean, again, it's relative. If you want to streamline the process, and you could start off, like you said, you want to start off with a model and then get some analysis to see how people like it. And then from there, you can figure out, well, how much can I customize at that point? And I would suggest looking at like PaaS solutions, cloud computing, of course. That's something that can range. You have to kind of look. I don't want to give like one number for something like that, but it's doable. Like you said, it is doable. You have the API available. You can do it in so many different ways. You can use APIs, meaning that you can plug in directly to a lot of the networks out there. There's deep learning models to optimize. There's image processing, NLP. It's all available. Or you can get a little bit deeper. You can even take. You can do some pandas library and take a pre-modeled neural network and do some transfer training on top of it if you have more of a budget and you want to get deeper into it. But without even doing all of that, there's enough available to build your own brand. And then it's really a question of how much do you want to, and how much can you go into the research of customizing something versus trying to build something that is usable for people now, get the feedback, and then figure out what you want to do from there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's what
okay. Thanks for that overview. Clarion and Barb, question to both of you. We're testing this out. Do either one of you speak another language other than English?
French, and yeah, I can speak.
Okay, so I'm going to bring up the French TJ clone.
Okay.
And I want you to try to ask it a question. When I've tried in the past, because I have you on a speaker, I should have you on an earphone, I don't. But when I've had it in the past and it's coming out of the speaker and my microphone is here, it didn't connect. But this morning it did. So I'd like to try a little experiment. I'm going to have the French TJ come on. I would ask you just to ask it some question that relates to either communication skills or personal development. Let's see if it can answer you. And first of all, if it can hear you, and then if it can answer.
Salut, je suis le clone de TJ. Comment puis-je vous aider à communiquer plus efficacement?
Oui, bonjour. J'avais une question. Quand je parle en public, est-ce que c'est possible que je peux prendre un stylo à la même temps pour que je suis c'est une plus agréable expérience? I'm a little rusty. I don't know if it.
Typically, it is not heard. I'm going to do it again. Typically, for whatever reason, technically, I don't know how I can tell the difference between my voice speaking in versus the sound coming out.
Okay.
For whatever reason, it hasn't worked in the past. It did this morning for some reason, and I just wanted to see if that's one of those things where it had made an advance. I'll ask it, and I know very little French, but I want you to critique.
Salut, je suis le clone de TJ. Comment puis-je vous aider à communiquer plus efficacement?
Oui, bonjour.
Bonjour, bonjour TJ. Comment allez-vous? Croissant?
Bonjour, je vais très bien, merci. Comment puis-je vous aider à améliorer vos compétences en communication aujourd'hui?
Communication, s'il vous plaît.
Bien sûr, comment puis-je vous aider à améliorer vos compétences en communication aujourd'hui? Avez-vous un domaine spécifique sur lequel vous aimeriez travailler? comme les présentations, les entretiens d'embauche ou la prise de parole en public.
Okay, so Clarion, did that make, because I know, as you could probably deduce, know very little French. Did that make any sense of what it was saying?
Yeah, no, it sounded great. It sounded great. It kind of trailed off at the end of it, but yeah, no, it's a very good grammar, punctuation, had your voice, the intonation. I thought it was good.
And
I mean,
that one did sound like my voice. We were experimenting earlier today, and for some reason, voices that sounded like mine yesterday in Chinese and several other languages now today didn't for some reason. But that French version, for whatever reason, did sound like my voice.
Cool, very cool. I asked it about like if I should hold a pen while I'm speaking. I wanted to see.
Okay. And Barb, are there any other languages you speak where you'd want to do a test?
No, not at all.
Okay, Barb's like me. We grew up in a generation where it was just not that that's a good excuse for me, but it was not as actively encouraged to really become fluent in other languages, and something I could still improve at any point. So, Clarion, what's the next course or big project that you have on your horizon that you'd like to share with our audience?
Oh, at the moment, course-wise, I'm not 100% sure. I'm looking at project-wise, looking for solutions with AI in general, on some interesting music projects that I'm into, and I'm just exploring in general what some of the trends are and interesting forward-thinking leaders in the space are doing, just because it's fast moving right now, and it's just super powerful, as you can see. And I think a lot of the things that we're seeing it's not unsolvable problems. It's more a question of just optimization. And so I'm very excited about the space, the AI space for sure in general. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So we appreciate you stopping by. Please stay with us. I'm going to switch gears here because we've had a number of people write in questions to me. And so we're going to play a little game here. We're going to see who does it better, the clone or me, the real TJ. So I'm going to pull up this question here. I didn't mean to show someone's email address earlier, but this is a question from one of my students. This is what Ahmed wrote. I'd like to promote myself more outside of social media platforms. What's the best way to do that? Well, Ahmed, I would recommend that you take every opportunity possible to speak to people in the real world. It's so easy these days to just get locked up in a little bubble and email and post on Facebook and social media and text people and occasional Zoom and work from home. It's very easy to go a day, a week, sometimes a month, and not actually talk to a real human being. So I do recommend that you get out and meet with people face to face. That could be going to meetups. It could be going to conferences. I'm looking forward to going to the South by Southwest conference next, I believe, in February in Austin. I don't have anything I'm promoting. I just want to get out and meet people and talk to entrepreneurs. I like training online, but I'm going to be working in person in Scottsdale next week, working face-to-face with people. So my recommendation, Ahmed, figure out a way to meet with people, even if it's just going to a local restaurant or pub and talking to people. Get used to talking out loud about what you do. A lot of Chamber of Commerce organizations around the world still get together and meet, and they let everyone stand up and give a 30-second pitch as to what they do. Go to a live Toastmasters and talk to people. That's my biggest advice on how you can promote outside of a social media platform. So that's what the real TJ, would answer that question. Let's see how digital. Oh, and I didn't mean to do that again. Sorry. Let's see how the real or the clone TJ would answer that question.
Hi, I'm TJ's clone. How may I help you communicate more effectively?
Hi, TJ. My name is Ahmed, and I'm looking for more ways, tips, tactics, tools for promoting myself beyond social media. I'm already promoting myself on social media, but I want to know how to promote my business, my ideas, my brand outside of the world of social media. So just tell me every idea you have on this topic. Okay, now that has not happened in a while. This did happen in the early months of my clone, but we're just getting dead silence. And that is the first time that's happened. It may be because I have too many things open. Let's just try it again. I'm going to close the other versions of the clone, but that one should not have done that, obviously. But that did happen early on in the game. So I don't know if there's technical problems. We'll just try this one again. Obviously, in that face-off, the clone lost because it didn't say anything. So let's try it again. And I'll just do a quick test before I ask the long question.
Hi, I'm TJ's clone. How may I help you communicate more effectively?
TJ, can you hear me? You couldn't hear me a moment ago.
Yes, I can hear you now. It looks like you're all set up for a video recording or live stream. How can I assist you with your communication skills today?
Okay, so my name is Ahmed. I have a very specific question for you. I would like more tips, tricks, and tools for how I can promote myself and my business and my ideas outside of social media. I already promote on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and places like that. But I want to speak more and promote myself more outside of social media. Tell me every tip, trick, tool you have that I could possibly use.
Ahmed, promoting yourself outside of social media can be incredibly effective. Here are some strategies you can use. First, consider public speaking engagements. Look for opportunities to speak at industry conferences, local business groups, or community events. This not only showcases your expertise, but also builds your credibility. Next, network strategically. Attend networking events, join professional associations, and connect with influencers in your field. Building relationships can lead to referrals and new opportunities. Also, write articles or guest posts for industry publications or blogs. This positions you as a thought leader and reaches a wider audience. Finally, consider creating a personal website or blog. This serves as a central hub for your content and makes it easier for people to find and learn about you. What specific area do you feel you need the most help with right now?
Well, can you give me more details that just get me away from a computer? I mean, you just told me some tips of like starting a blog. I mean, isn't that social media? I'm asking for tips on how I can promote myself more outside of social media. So don't tell me to write a blog. Okay, so more glitches are showing up. I'm not particularly happy with that. Yeah. Mary says fantastic. So Mary, thanks for stopping by. We're testing out digital clones, trying to figure out where are they better than humans, where are they worse, where are they the same. In that case, I would have to give that one very low marks. But Clarion, first your response, and I have to say that is substantially worse than it's performed in the last month. But Clarion, any observations there?
Yeah, I mean, it's, there's going to be some glitch. It makes sense that there's going to be glitches with it. Again, it really depends on how the platform is utilizing these models. But it's not like something like that, it could be because for whatever reason, who knows, maybe something with the data packet didn't go through and then it stalled and it thinks it's responding and it's not responding, or there's an issue with it. to answer the question whether I think the clones are better than humans, can be better than a human, right? It's that, or can an AI digital clone be better than a human? I think 100% it can, and I think it will be. I think, again, like these glitches that you're seeing, it's kind of like when you try to send, if you think about it, just technology in general, you know, like if you're sending a message or something like that, or you're using the internet and then something bugs out, you got to quit and restart it. It's normal that that stuff is going to happen. I think it's all interconnected, again, with optimization and also what the limits are. You have to remember LLMs can answer pretty much all the data that you feed into it, but then you can fine tune that stuff. And the clone specifically, there's a few things that don't feel human yet, right? And those things aren't, I don't think those are fundamental issues with the neural network. I think that has a lot to do with the platform itself and how the platform is going to work on it, like how it waits to answer you, the way that it answers you in the same reiterative format. It's like how ChatGPT would do it. You know, it's just following a certain standard, whatever the standard code is for it to give you that experience. And you know, I wouldn't be too hard. I don't know. What are your expectations right now? I mean,
my expectations went up an awful lot in the last month and the last week, and now we kind of slid back just to so that's always disappointing.
Yeah.
But I have to put that in context of,
you know, like
speaking fluently in 40 languages now. It wasn't doing that even 3 days ago. So
sure. So something like that is easier to even implement because you can take an NLP open source that has 40 different languages, run the translations, and get it at a really, really fast response, you know? But fixing a glitch like that, it really depends on how much money they're spending on the customizations. Like if they're just plugging in an API right now, they can't really do much about, you know, they can try to put some conditional prompting around it, but it's not going to solve everything. So it depends on how much on that platform. I don't know what the name of the platform is you're using again. I think it's like Delphi. Is that right?
Yeah, Delphi.ai is the one I'm using. I continue to test and research others. What I have found is there are a lot of platforms out there that will make a clone for you.
Yeah.
But then you have to come up with a script, and it's just delivering something that was predetermined. The only thing I'm interested in is one that is completely interactive, where someone can ask it a question or say, "Hey, TJ, I've got an interview with Citibank tomorrow and I'm nervous. Can we rehearse?"
Right.
That's what I'm looking for. And a thing that can do it in a video format and an audio format, but text also for asking questions. And what I found is most of the clone platforms are either just text or just audio, or if it's video, it's about you having either written a script or having an AI write a script, but it's not interactive.
Yeah.
So this one I'm using is the only one I've found that seems to do all those things. I'm sure at some point there'll be a lot of them.
Yeah, I wonder what the cost associations are too, because I know that training on video data, for example, is very expensive compared to text. Like it's just much more expensive. And then of course, streaming is more expensive with the video. So
yes,
you kind of have to look at all that. I'm curious I'm going to look into it because it's definitely interesting. But I do think all of them are going to curve upwards collectively over the next year.
So speaking of expense, in my own package, where I spend about $400 or $500 a month, I get X number of minutes. I forgot how many, but after that, I get charged. I can't remember if it's 10 cents a minute or 1 cent a minute, but I get extra charges. So I have a paywall, so people can come in. They can test out my clone. And I should point out, it's tjwalker.ai for anyone who wants to try out versions of my clone. Although if you use that version, you don't get the foreign language part. But if you do that, you don't even have to give a name or an email the first 5 exchanges you have. After that, you do have to put in an email, and you have to use email right away if you want the audio or video. But if you just want to ask it text questions, you don't even have to give a name or email. Then you get another 5 or so messages. At 8 minutes of watching the video, a paywall comes up and asks you if you're liking this, then you got to pay. So that's how Ideally, I can monetize at some point, but also keep from losing a lot of money from expenses from the streaming.
Makes
Let's
sense.
do another test because I've got other questions that have come in from students. I'm going to call again, see if it's gotten any better this time. And I do have a preference for the video part because I think that's ultimately what people value the most.
Hi, I'm TJ's clone. How may I help you communicate more effectively?
TJ, my name is Sumisola, and my question is, how can I gain confidence when I'm speaking in front of a lot of people? I'm comfortable speaking to small groups of people. I'm comfortable speaking online, but when I have to stand up and speak in front of a lot of people, I get nervous and I lack confidence. What tips do you have for me?
Building confidence, especially in a setting like yours, is all about practice and preparation. First, let's focus on your environment. Your setup looks professional and modern, which is a great start. Now, let's work on your delivery. Start by recording yourself on video. Talk about a topic you're passionate about for a few minutes. Watch the video and note what you like and what you don't. Then, record again, trying to improve just one thing at a time. Maybe it's speaking a bit louder or using more expressive
Wait,
gestures.
TJ, I don't
Remember,
think you caught the nuance. I'm not doing it here in my little studio. I'm comfortable in my own studio. It's just when I'm standing in front of, say, more than 100 people, my heart starts pounding. I feel like I'm sweating. Even if I've rehearsed 10 times and I like my message and I look good at home practicing, I still get nervous when I see all those eyes staring at me. Give me more advice on how I can be more comfortable and confident when speaking to large crowds.
to feel more comfortable and confident when speaking to large crowds, focus on these key strategies. First, visualize success. Picture yourself delivering your speech confidently and receiving positive feedback. This mental rehearsal can significantly boost your confidence. Next, engage in deep breathing exercises before you go on stage. This helps calm your nerves and reduces physical symptoms of anxiety like sweating and a pounding heart. Practice diaphragmatic breathing to center yourself. Also, connect with your audience early. Make eye contact with a few friendly faces in the crowd. This creates a sense of connection and makes the audience feel more approachable. Finally, practice on video. Record yourself giving the speech, watch it, and make improvements. Keep practicing until you love every aspect of your delivery. What specific part of your speech do you feel needs the most improvement?
Okay, so that's interesting to me in that one was not as good as when I think I've asked that question before, because I do have an entire course on how to speak in front of large groups. That entire video course has been uploaded into the brain of this clone. It did get to some of them after a prompting, but for some reason, it just didn't seem to be connecting right from the beginning, and I'm not quite sure why. So this is a work in progress.
There's a few bottlenecks. Sorry to interrupt, but like the text to audio, the audio there could be an issue with that. I think I just read it's ChatGPT. They're using GPT-4, so it should have better context. It should be picking up on your nuances, and it's not, which indicates there could be an issue with I don't know, like the actual way that it's formatting the data, that your input of what you're telling it. It's just there's a lot of different bottlenecks happening with it. So yeah, I don't know.
Let's do another test. This is a question from Stephen Bailey Derso, who's one of our students who wrote this in, and we'll see how. And by the way, Claire, we really appreciate your time. You didn't sign up for all of this, so if you have to run, we understand, but we'd love to have you stay if you can.
Thanks. It's really interesting. Thank you.
Hi, I'm TJ's clone. How may I help you communicate more effectively?
Hi, TJ. Stephanie has written in with a question. She wants to know, how do you start teaching children the same skills on how to be a good presenter that you teach adults? So what tips do you have for teaching children how to be confident presenters?
Teaching children to be confident presenters involves making the process enjoyable and emotionally engaging. Start by encouraging them to talk about topics they are passionate about. When they speak about something they love, their enthusiasm naturally shines through, boosting their confidence. Ask them questions that make them reflect on why they enjoy the topic. This emotional connection is crucial. For example, if a child loves soccer, ask them about their favorite moments playing the game. This helps them associate positive feelings with presenting. Also, practice is key. Have them rehearse on video and watch themselves. This helps them get comfortable with their voice and presence. What specific aspect of presenting do you think children find most challenging?
I think humans are hardwired to fear speaking in front of other people. It's a defense mechanism. So I think that's kind of the default mode.
Absolutely. The fear of speaking in front of others is deeply ingrained in us. It's a survival instinct. But the good news is, with practice and the right techniques, you can overcome it. Start by recording yourself speaking on video. Watch it back and focus on what you like about your delivery. Gradually, you'll build confidence. What specific aspect of public speaking do you find most challenging? The default mode of fearing public speaking is deeply ingrained in us. It's a survival instinct, but you can rewire this response. Start by recording yourself speaking on video. Watch it back and focus on what you like about your delivery. Gradually, you'll build confidence. What specific aspect of public speaking do you find most challenging?
Okay, so some good tips there, although a little bit of repetition at the end that didn't sound 100% conversational. But again, this is a work in progress, as I've mentioned before. Clarion, we're going to sign off in just a few minutes here. Any final things you would like to share with the audience?
Well, yeah. So having seen a few of these now, I'm starting to get a better feel for what it's doing. And I'm wondering, like, I don't know how the Delphi platform works, but I imagine, so you're training it in a sense where you upload videos. And do you do more than that as well? Do you give it text input as well? And do you...
Yes, let me just show you. We can just go right into the platform because this is stuff I go through in the course that I mentioned earlier, but I do know that a lot of people are interested in this, the nuts and bolts, and I don't mind sharing. So let me just pull up my screen here.
Cool.
And we can take a look at it. So I'm going to My Clones. And so I can build it so it allows me to just simply add content.
Nice.
So I can add from websites, YouTube, social. So I have an automatic feed where every day it pulls in anything I post on YouTube automatically is fed in. I don't have to do anything after the first setup. And,
So-
I have 3 new videos every day that go on YouTube. If I wanted to pull from Twitter, I could, but I'm reposting my YouTube videos on Twitter, so there's no sense for doing that. I can suck in my entire website, my main corporate media website, mediatrainingworldwide.com. Initially, when I set it up, it just pulled everything up in it. So I can upload from a website, upload from Twitter, upload from a podcast. It all goes in that way. So you can do it individually. You can see this video is going in right now. It's queued to go in. This was something I dictated earlier today, turned it into text. It went in. This was something else I dictated. These are videos that went in yesterday. You can see every single day there's new things. It allows me to add any file. The file could be in text, it can be in audio, it can be in video. I believe it can be in PDF too, really anything that's in a file. And then I train my voice, and I have done a different versions of my voice at different times, because what I found is just using my normal voice didn't work. It made it too flat.
Okay, so have you noticed that, like, when you're training it and you're giving it audio and you're giving it text, are you learning in the sense that you're seeing, hey, it's not performing so well based on the way I presented these audio, but if I change my tone and I change the text, it improves? You
Yes.
notice that it is improving in different ways? Yeah.
Yes. So I've had probably 30 different audio samples
Mm-hmm.
doing a lot of change. Part of it,
Wow.
the change was they were going through changes, not telling me that it's going to sound weird, not because of how my voice was, but just things that were done in the background. So there was some confusion there.
Okay.
But
Interesting.
here's one. Listen to this a minute. You'll think this sounds crazy. I did this because just general audio sounded too flat. So let's listen to this a moment. I'm going to play one of the earlier ones I did from a month or so ago.
Wow, I'm so happy to be here today. I am ecstatic about the possibility of helping you become a better speaker.
So that's not how I normally speak. That's, oh, I'm intentionally trying to be way over the top, more energetic, higher highs, lower lows. And I did that because my voice was sounding too flat and monotone.
Okay, so that is averaging, it's taking a weight against the other audio input, I imagine, that you have uploaded. So maybe the other three are much more monotone or at least more flat compared to that. And you're using that.
I think that one's the flattest.
Okay.
But there are others that are sort of, I think in general, it tends to flatten things out. So all
I
of these
see.
training ones
I see.
are a bit over the top, which is because that does get to my area of expertise. So that's a part of what I go into detail with in my online course, because the engineers know all the technology, but the bottom line is if you hear your voice and you think it doesn't represent you well and it sounds flat and boring, then you got a real problem. You're not going to be enthusiastic about sharing your clone. Same with the video. If you think your video looks frozen and stiff and scared, you're not going to want to share it. So I spend a lot of my time in the course specifically teaching people. Let's see if this one sounds a little different.
I give Delphi consent to use this video to make my avatar. Hi, I'm TJ Walker, and I help people communicate more effectively.
Okay, so this is more my natural speaking style. This is the one I did when making the video that they could use. So that's why there's specific pauses for a couple of seconds, because that's when I was making the video to train the video portion of it, they needed me to say a sentence, pause with my mouth closed, not say anything after every sentence for a couple of seconds. So that one, if you can see the average between those two, is getting closer to what I actually sound like.
That's super interesting, because when you train an AI, especially with like neural network basis, what you have are weights and biases essentially, which connect the neurons. And the bias is basically, you can consider it where you want to start as a base value. And I think what you're doing intuitively here, what it looks like just as an interpretation, is that you're seeing, based on the response, that there is a baseline of where it is, and then like a chef, you're throwing in something more positive, and then checking the final product essentially to see that it has more of a positive sound and is not too monotone, right? And so you're the platform. I mean, you're basically working against the constraints of the platform, and you're learning how the platform works in order to better optimize your clone.
Now, speaking of weighting, something I can do on every document is I can weight its level of importance.
Nice.
If I don't categorize it, it just gives it a 5 on a 1 to 10 scale. But there have been documents, like when I was uploading my book, Secret to Foolproof Presentations, that really, I think, is sort of the best summarizing of my concepts for public speaking in a very focused, condensed, well thought out, edited way. So when I uploaded that book, I gave that a 10 importance. So it knows to reference that document more.
That's very interesting. So that and weights is a different, I think what they're doing there, they're not using it like weights in the AI sense of making connections. It's more about context importance. So that's why I'm thinking, like, the videos do they have a very high weight of importance? Can you do that as well for your videos? Do you put a high level?
Oh, yeah. So anything that's in all with all of my content. So this
Yeah.
one is a video that was uploaded, I guess, 3 days ago. We can click the settings, and I don't even remember what this video was about. But if I wanted to give this a 10, I could.
I wonder if the video with the pen, how high the importance is. I was just wondering, where you talk about the pen. I was wondering where the importance level is.
Oh, well, I know I definitely did not give that any other. It would have gone in with the generic preset of a 5.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
It's about, I think, the context, because that's a big issue that a lot of these platforms that they build on top of GPT, because GPT-4 now, if you just use it on ChatGPT, the issue is like how well it's gone from 3.5 or 3 to 4. It's very noticeable. I don't know if you used ChatGPT recently.
Yes.
You notice that it can really answer your question in a way that's quickly. Mathematics are better. The history is better. But when you use it through Delphi, and I think they're using GPT-4. I just saw a blog. I don't know for sure. I just saw they're using 4. But notice how when you talk to it, it's not on that same level. And a lot of these platforms are facing that issue if they're not using a RAG approach. It's just if you start to try to transfer train and you start throwing video on top of a network, it can make a lot of mistakes. I know there's another way, which is retrieval augmentation generation, that people do, which you don't mess with the neural network, and essentially you build out your own separate context to really focus in on the context of the prompting. And I wonder if that's where the platform is. It's interesting. I don't know.
I'm not sure. You mentioned ChatGPT. I have built my own GPT on this. Just text. Well, I say.
Oh, interesting.
I forgot now. I know that a user can only interact with this. So this is if you just go to the ChatGPT and hit explore. Sometimes if you hit media training, but it might show up. But certainly if you put my name in, you'll see it, and this will allow you to ask my own GPT question. So if I want to ask it, how should a speaker begin their speech, it will then give you text answers. Now, I did this really with the idea of I'm trying to build expertise on all aspects of digital cloning. And this is one place where people do it and associate it with artificial intelligence and answering questions. So I might as well be there. But I did sort of the bare minimum of a colleague found someone on Fiverr and spent $100 to create this. So there may be 1,000 ways of doing it better. But at least I wanted to establish a presence here. To me, with everything I do, if I want to create value for people, it has to be in the format of video talking, because that's where I see people gain the most.
Yeah,
help.
but I'm curious. Do you find the text here to have less, to be more closer to the answers you want to be helping people with versus the video, or are they even or worse? Curious.
To be honest with you, I haven't spent any time on it. Let's just test it right now.
Okay.
Is it okay to hold a pen when giving a speech since I am nervous? Let's see what it says. Let's see. It says holding a pen while giving a speech can provide comfort and help ease nervousness, but it's important to be mindful of how you use it. If you feel more at ease holding a pen, make sure it doesn't become a distraction. Avoid fidgeting, clicking the pen, or waving it around, as this can draw attention away from your message and undermine your confidence. If holding a pen helps you feel grounded, keep it steady and subtle. I would grade that marginally better than my video clone, but only a little bit, because I have said numerous times in videos, don't use a pen, because ultimately, if you want to be a good speaker, you shouldn't be focused on how you feel. You should be focused on how your audience feels. You want your audience to feel that you are completely comfortable, confident, and relaxed. Because over time, if you actually believe your audience perceives you as completely comfortable, confident, and relaxed, that will make you more comfortable and relaxed.
Yeah. So I don't think it's training. Like this is just prompting, right? Like the person who built your TJ Walker, they just took, did they train it? They didn't train it. They just took a bunch of information that you
They
gave
took
it.
my books and
They took your
uploaded
books
it.
and just uploaded it.
What
And
I don't know is if the video content was able to get in or not.
I just wonder if it's like training or prompting, because it seems like it's not inferring the results that you wanted to have about you. You know, it's a good question.
Well, I would say today's been an anomaly. I would say 95% of the time, it's giving information the way I would.
Okay, so it's the outlier.
But it's the 5% of the, and of course, that's what you remember, and that's what's popped out.
95% isn't good enough. It needs to be 99 point something for it to be really good.
I mean, that's definitely what I'd like it to be 100%.
Sure.
But it is brand new. It's brand new technology, at least to me, and how the world is dealing with it. So, yeah, anytime you're involved with something new, I don't think you can expect instantaneous perfection. But for me, that this pen thing, it's a relatively minor thing. But I'm dealing in a world where people come to me because they want to be world class, and a lot of times they're already good. If you're already good, if you eliminate 10 minor imperfections, that's the difference of being really good and being truly great, being world class. So I want it to give great advice exactly the way I would. And that's why, I mean, what I stress is it's a mindset change, that everything you do needs to be about helping your audience. Because I say, well, people say, well, TJ, I'm more comfortable wearing, holding a pen. And my stock response is, well, I'm more comfortable if I were sitting here in a bathing suit and a tank top, giving this corporate training here with all of you in your suits.
You could,
but I don't do that because that would make you feel like I'm really weird. That would be strange. Or I'd say I'm more comfortable wearing a bathrobe.
I wonder if you created like a manifesto, like as a temporary fix for now till it improves, where you have like the TJ 20 most important rules and guidelines and put it at the highest importance. You know what I mean? And that sort of is the summary outlook of what they need to be making sure that just to augment it a little bit closer, and then that has the higher importance. I don't know. I wonder if that would make a difference.
Here's what the platform I'm using. Let me go ahead and anonymize a minute, because I want to pull something up, but I don't want to violate the confidentiality. And it's been a while since I've done this, so I forgot how to do it. But there's a way of making everything anonymous, because what is interesting is, as the creator, I see every question anyone asks, anything they say, and the clone's response. So I have a button that will improve it. If I see my clone saying something I don't like, I can edit it and improve it.
Okay.
And so that's very helpful, although it doesn't work every time.
Right.
So
I wonder how they're using that information. Like, are they using it like gothing tape, where they just put it on top and like conditionally add this to the prompt? Or is there some type of training transference going on? Those are the really important underlying questions, which can help you understand how this platform is improving and what the potential scale, what the limit is with it. You know what I mean? That's how you'd be able to.
It's definitely improving on, sometimes it seems like an hourly basis. It's improving. Plus, there's the issue of I haven't found anything any better. Plus, there's the issue of you got to know your own strengths and weaknesses in life. And in theory, can I go out and raise $5 million and start hiring engineers? I could, but that's not my area of expertise. Is not managing a whole bunch of technicians, because I don't know enough about the technology to really oversee them properly.
Well, that's the thing, though. Like, I don't think they're a research company, so I don't think it's a $5 million product. I think it's quite possibly it could be much much less than that.
Well, they've publicly said that they've raised, I believe it's about 3 or 4 million now.
Wow. Okay. But just to give an idea, like, okay, so maybe they're doing more training under the hood and research with that money, and they have the right connections. But to put a platform like that together now, you don't need that kind of money. I would say not at all. Yeah. Just to say. Because you asked that before, right? You were asking about
Yes.
the cost. Yeah. And you definitely, you have all these tools available to put something together, but how customizable is it from that point? And how can it scale and grow is the question from there. But yeah.
So there is a way for me to make the audience anonymous. And because I wanted to show you how you can look at an answer and edit the response. But I can't figure out how to make it anonymous. You know what? I'll pull up the one I just did. In fact, I need to do that anyway because it gave me bad advice about the pen. Let's see if we can pull that. Although it's easier to do it on a text one. Oh, here's one that's anonymous. Okay. So let me share the page. So we've got a question that came in. We have an answer. And now at the bottom, there's a prompt that says improve response. So I can click that. I can now say what I'd like it to say. And then I have an option of send that to the user as well by email, although that one's anonymous, so I don't know how I would send it. But that's how they're trying to improve it. So, for example, the way I've used it is if someone asks me for my opinion on the public speaking skills of a certain politician in America, I don't want to mention names because I get death threats, but let's just say the large orange one. If someone mentions that person by name, I do have footage going back, to 2007, where I give an analysis of that particular person's speaking skills, strengths, weaknesses, what's worked, what hasn't. But I have given specific instructions to my clone to just say, sorry, we're not here to talk about politics, but can we go on to another question to deflect it? So I've given that into the programming and it didn't follow it. I've now edited some answers. So now if you ask about that person by name, it gives you kind of a polite response of, we tend to stay away from contemporary politics because of controversies. But what I can tell you, and then we go to something else. So It does seem to be responsive at that level.
But it's prompting, I think, right? So I think it's just like it's like you have the model and you're not training the model more. Really what you're doing is you're adding on top of it a condition. And the condition is make sure that in any case, if you see that somebody is mentioning he who cannot be named, that let's avoid politics and avoid red flag. And then hopefully the prompting of GPT-4 is able to really pick up on the weight of importance. And the platform, what it can do is it can create ways to basically read through your SEO, read through the metadata, and also just create a hierarchy to see, oh, this is really important to TJ. Make sure that we put that tape around the model so that it's not going to do X, Y, and it's not going to say those kinds of things, I think that's where the technology is right now. It's based on what you're saying, because otherwise what it would do is it would compile everything, all of your information, recompile it, and then give it some kind of score on some kind of evaluation score telling you how precise it thinks it is. And then you would test it out. Maybe the results would be better. So it sounds like it's more just like quick tape fix for now. That's what it sounds like. Anyway.
It might be. It might be. Clarion, hang on a moment. We got to sign off from our live feed. But I want to thank everyone who joined us, and Mary and Jayden and Janice and Barb, all the others. And if you're watching this on demand, Please come back and participate with our next live. We're going to get back to our normal schedule in a couple of weeks after I get back from some travel in Italy and other places. We're going to come back to you and be live Monday through Thursday right here, where we continue to talk about communication skills, personal development skills, and how to communicate that more effectively using the technology of cloning, which to me is a lot more exciting than the technology of PowerPoint slides, for example. If you want to learn how to quickly make a clone of yourself, this is a new course I made. It's a new bestseller on Udemy. You can just go to udemy.com and type in interactive AI video clone. You can type in my name. You'll probably find it, and you might find that useful. So, Clarion, stay where you are a moment. I'm TJ Walker. Thanks so much. And please come back to YouTube 3 times a day. There's new videos every day.